I'm pretty sure that most of us have like gone out with our friends in the last few months or so. And this is like a conversation that's going around, and it's basically goes like, you eat something and then you see something on the menu, and then somebody asks you like, oh, are you gonna get it gluten-free? Or did you check if it was gluten-free or something? And I found this to be really interesting because like it's going around, and so nobody really knows what gluten is. I had a customer come into work and he asked if we had like gluten-free ice cream. I was kind of astonished because for me, I always thought like gluten is found in like bread. So obviously if you get like chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream, then maybe, but I wasn't sure. So he wanted like a gluten-free cake. So I told him like, as long as you don't have bread in it, then you should be fine. But he wanted to like like this sticker on it that said like gluten-free. And so today I'm going to talk about, I'm going to describe to you a disease. First of all, it's called celiac disease, and then I'm going to talk about how this connects to gluten-free, and then I'm going to make my statement. So celiac disease is actually like an autoimmune disorder, and basically what happens is that like when somebody consumes something that has gluten, this person, like their intestines react in like a really weird way that like they will kind of like clog up, and because like gluten is a really like sticky part of bread, it gets stuck in their system and it can be fatal for them. So people with like gluten sensitivity or people with celiac disease, that's why they go on a gluten-free diet. And because of that, people notice that because the people that have celiac disease, their intestines are not working, they don't get the proper nutrition, so then therefore they lose a lot of weight. And so a lot of people started seeing this as like a pattern that like if you go gluten-free, then you will lose weight, and that's why it became like a really big deal. So everybody figured, you know, as long as I cut down on gluten, then I should be fine. I should lose like 5 pounds by the end of the week. And so today I am going to talk to you about why, 3 reasons why you should not go gluten-free unless you suffer from celiac disease. Because celiac disease only affects like, it only affects like 1 in 133 people. That's like 1% of the population. And everyone here is like trying to cut down on gluten, and it's really not good. So the first reason why it's not good is because like you will have a lot of like deficiencies in your nutrients. So when you cut down on bread and stuff, you cut down on fiber and you cut down on like vitamins and minerals. I have a quote from Helen Green from the American Dietetic Association, and she basically states that like anytime that you eliminate categories, like an entire category of food from your diet, then you will suffer deficiencies. And it just makes sense, you know, like if you cut down on something that has been there your whole life, then you're obviously going to have a deficiency. Second of all, it's a lot of added sugars and fats. So I don't know if any of you have tried like gluten-free bread or something. It's really gross. It tastes like cardboard. And so the reason why is because they take a lot of stuff out of it and they replace it with sugar and fat. And so when people say that by going gluten-free you're going to lose weight, you are going to lose weight initially, especially if you have celiac disease, but then you're going to like gain it really quick, like way faster. So and the reason why is because of all the like syrups and stuff that they put in it. And then also you're adding like a lot of calories by adding that sugar and that fat, and then it's not as healthy as people would consider it to be. And then third of all, I think it's like the most obvious one, it's the price. Like I've gone to the store and like you go to like the cracker section or something, and the gluten-free crackers are like way more expensive. So I actually looked it up because I wanted to see like what the difference in the price was. And when I researched it, I came across this page, and there's this guy writing for like a nutrition magazine, and he was saying that gluten-free products were 242% more expensive. But the way that he was writing, it was really sarcastic, so I figured he was just like a blogger or something. And so I actually just kept looking and stuff, and I actually came across a study that proves that like gluten-free products are 242% more expensive than regular products. And I think that's crazy because I thought like the highest percentage could be like 100. But it's like 100 times 100 plus 42%. Like that's a lot. That's like really expensive. So what they did in this study, it was published in the U.S. Library of Medicine, National Studies of Institutes of Health. They took 53 different products that were gluten-free, and they took the ones that were not gluten-free, the same brand, the same everything. The only thing that changed was that one was labeled gluten-free, and they compared the prices. And so they did this thing that's called a standard deviation, and basically it's like 1 over square root of however many people or however many products they tested, and then you get a percentage off of that, and that gives you that gives you a percentage saying that like you're 95% confident that it's 242%. So it's not 100% true that it's 242%. It's just a 95% because they have to curve it. So with that being said, a lot of people are paying a lot more just to have a little sticker on it. And at the end of the day, you're gonna benefit a lot more if you just continue to have the gluten that you've had in your diet this whole time. So yeah, that's why in conclusion today, like if you don't have celiac disease, or if you don't have a gluten sensitivity, then you should probably just stick to your regular diet. Yeah.
Enrique, you got some comments?
Yeah, it was a really good topic and it was interesting. I like how you described the disease because that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. And how about the prices, how much gluten is expensive. That was really interesting, like a good fact. It's a lot of money. And I liked how the points you, like how you quoted the citations throughout the speech. And yeah.
And yeah, okay. And yeah. Right, well, the example at the beginning of people who are making requests, and you talk about your customer who asked for the gluten-free ice cream cake, I thought that that was a pretty effective attention device to kind of lead us into the topic. We know what the subject is from the beginning. I thought that that was fine. The problem is I didn't know exactly what you were going to be saying about the subject, and I thought that that stayed a little bit vague. Although as your supporting points start developing, I can see the direction that you're heading in. At the end of the speech, you finish very clearly with the statement of here's the point that I'm trying to make, and that is unless you are celiac or have some kind of gluten sensitivity, you should be avoiding this particular kind of diet. And it's the reason you should be avoiding this particular kind of diet is because it's potentially dangerous for you to avoid those sorts of things. It's unnecessary, and holy criminy, you're going to be paying through the nose for it. So I thought that at the end, you're making your argument a little bit more clearly than you did early on in the speech. I think you could probably use a few more pieces of information. Sometimes we didn't get as much citation of the material as I think would be appropriate, but you go through great lengths to make sure that we get that 242% thing accurate. So it's like I got it, I found it someplace else, and then here's the explanation about how they statistically arrived at that with a level of confidence. So we know that that's pretty good. And whenever you start talking about numbers, it's easy for people to get confused. But just think of it: if you were selling an ice cream cake for $10, that would mean that at Baskin Robbins, instead of $10, it would be $24.20, something like that. Now, that's basically what you're talking about. You're talking about almost 2.5 times the price that everybody else is going to be paying for something. So that seems to be excessive. And I think you could maybe use a few of those particular examples of products that they studied that are now promoting themselves as gluten-free on the shelves and what's going on there. I think maybe you need a little bit more, because it's not just bread, that any kind of wheat flour, it has gluten in it. That's the issue. And so if you have wheat in anything, including cake, it's going to have gluten in it. That's one of those issues. So you need to have, I think, a little bit more fundamental understanding of some of the issues that people face. But I like the fact that you explained that there are people, in fact, who have issues with this, and it matters to them because it is potentially dangerous. The idea, though, that people are glomming onto this as a way of losing weight, or they see that and it's kind of a trendy sort of thing, I think you've made an assumption here that that's true, and I think I need a little bit more proof on that. I tend to agree. I think people often do that kind of stuff. They hear gluten-free, well, that's got to be better for me because it's more expensive and it's apparently free of gluten, and they don't even know what the heck that is. But if there was some way of measuring that, for instance, the number of products that have expanded, that sort of thing, it does really seem a little bit disproportionate to the number of people who have these kinds of issues. On the other hand, if you're one of those people, those issues, I'm sure you're very thankful that you've got access to those kinds of products, because it is a little bit problematic. I thought you did a nice job speaking to the audience for the most part also, and you know the material when you're talking to us pretty effectively. All right, thank you.